about Jordan's dispensability or indispensability really depends on the quality of forward lines that we can assemble. Right now, we do not have the sort of quality of surplus or options that allows us to retire Jordan Ayew. So he'll continue to be relevant to this team for the foreseeable future, and hopefully he gets a club that allows him to still be of service. Of course, he doesn't necessarily have to be a starter or play for 90 minutes if we have alternatives that can supplement his play. But I don't think that's how you retire a player. You don't retire a player based on how the coach chose to organize his team at the World Cup and the inability of the team to score more than 2 goals at the World Cup. That's scapegoatism. And Ghanaians have a habit of trying to find a scapegoat for every underperformance or the team's inability to achieve its objective. This team has overachieved by reaching the round of 32 of the World Cup. One of the most interesting developments for this World Cup has been the growing confidence in the goalkeeping department of the Black Stars, to the extent that people are almost even seeing it as a rivalry between Benjamin Asare and Atizigi. I think this is great. It's a great problem for any team to have 2 goalkeepers who are competent and have demonstrated at this World Cup within the 4 matches that they shared that they are capable of holding their own for the Black Stars and keeping clean sheets for the Black Stars and keeping out threats to the goal of the Black Stars. I just hope people don't take it too far, because some of the support for Benjamin Asare by many who believe that local players are disrespected, are not given their flowers, or are not given their dues have been quite visceral and strong, to the extent that when Atizigi returned to the team against Colombia, there were many who were protesting on social media because they didn't understand why the coach was dropping Benjamin Asare to bring on Atizigi. But Atizigi showed exactly why the coach had brought him back on, to make those saves, to keep out the Colombians, and he cannot be faulted for the goal that was scored. I wish all of them the best, both of them the best, and I really wish Benjamin Asare continues to expand and excel and gets better opportunities. I'm not saying how to focus is not a good place to be, but he gets opportunities to test his skills, preferably in other countries as well, just to continue to expand his scope and build his career. So it's a great problem to have, as I said, but let's not turn this rivalry into something beyond what it is. These are 2 very good players in the Black Star setup who are building their career in the national team. Let's not personalize this. Let's not make it an attack on one person or the other, although I have to express admiration for whichever PR machinery is rolling behind Benjamin Asare, because it tends to be very consistent in projecting him. No wonder he's having endorsement deals. I'm extremely happy for him, and long may it continue. But let's not turn that on the other goalkeeper who is in service to the Black Stars, and acknowledge the fact that it's a really good time to have goalkeepers who are maturing into the role of the Black Stars. It reminds me of some days in the past when we had Anabeyin Krenzel, we had Abukari Damba, and we had Eddie Ansah, and all these other goalkeepers who were contemporaries, and any of them could be selected to play for the Black Stars, just as the Cameroonians had within their own time with Antoine Bell, Nkono, and the rest. So it's really a great time for the Black Stars goalkeeping department. It was good whilst it lasted, the Black Stars campaign at the FIFA World Cup. I say that the Black Stars have achieved, but this is the reality. The reality is that we are not at the level that we think we are, and the Colombians exposed Ghana for that. So we are left reflecting on the Black Stars exit from the round of 32, together with 7 other African countries that have exited this round of 32. It's not a round that 3 months ago Ghanaians would have seen themselves being, but somehow we managed to get ourselves there. Kudos to the coach for his in-tournament tactics, as negative as some might see them to be, and the organization of this team that got us to this round of the competition. But now it's time to reflect on the future of the Black Stars, and indeed the future of Ghana football beyond this tournament. What have we learned? We have learned that there's a core of defensive players that we can rely on, that we can build on. Before this tournament, we supposedly didn't have a right back. Marvin Senaya has shattered those views, in centre back, for a lot of the players, were quite maligned by the media, and what a lot of people knew about them was because of what the media had said. A lot of people, some people in media and social media had reported on Lukasen as a player who is red card prone coming into this competition. Again, he has changed that perception. Jerome was not a starting centre back for the Black Stars. He held forth with Ajete and performed superbly. Ajete was a revelation after his ill-fated friendly matches. Some people felt he was not good enough. He was too error-prone. But in the matches that he played for the Black Stars, he showed that he was capable of playing at this level. He played within his strength. He may not have purred like a Rolls Royce, but he certainly did what he had to do. Gideon Mensah was starting left back. People will still have their judgment about him, but he excelled when he needed to excel in this competition. And so starting from the back, we can say that we have a core of players that, with the returning Jiku and Salisu and a few others coming in, will be a very competitive lineup for any coach to pick for the back line. Our midfield, obviously not as strong as the much vaunted midfields of 2006, 2010 and 2014, but were quite a number of bright spots. Obviously, the coach, in selecting his midfielders, chose a lot of wingers and a lot of speedsters who play. Sibo had the opportunity to audition again. I'm not sure he convinced too many people, but we know what his strengths are. And when called upon to play within his strengths, he did that. Partey has showed everybody that he's still got enough in the tank. And if he gets a contract that allows him to play at his highest level in Europe for some more years, and hopefully gets past the case that he's currently facing and doesn't get any, and he's not found guilty, and for which reason his football career gets disrupted, he's shown that he still has a few more years to give the Black Stars. He was imperious in the Black Stars games that he played. In that Colombia game, he was Ghana's best player without a doubt, and he'll still be the main man with a few others coming to play with him. Elisha was not exactly very impressive, but again, he played to his strengths, except in a game like the Croatia game where he and Thibaut were paired together. It was just the wrong combination for a team that needed transitions that also played Partey in that game. It's been a very difficult tournament for Antoine Semenyo, and his critics will still loudly say he's here to replicate his club form for the Black Stars. But I believe you have to look at the Semenyo performance at this 2026 World Cup within the context of how Carlos Queiroz decided to set up for this tournament. Off the ball, Semenyo gave a lot to the Black Stars, sacrificing what otherwise would have been his natural inclinations in going forward or trying to run with the ball in order to protect the left back he was playing in front when he played on the left-hand side and to contribute other things towards the team. Other than that, going forward, he showed glimpses of what he was capable of, but still ends this tournament without a shot on target, which is quite incredible for a player who scored such a shed load of goals for Bournemouth and Manchester City in last season. And so there would be opportunities for him to impress. There are qualifiers coming for the AFCON, but I think he gave as much as he could give. This was the end of a long season, and people should not judge him harshly on the basis of the offensive displays he gave and his inability to have a shot on target or to influence going forward. The whole Black Stars team was set up for certain results, which led to inhibition of certain players. And so in this tournament, one of those who suffer the consequences of that reorganization was Antoine Semenyo. In terms of the wingers, we started this tournament with Nyama. Fatal came on. Fatal showed perhaps, there was the expectation after so many years in the Black Stars, he could start and finish the Black Stars game playing very well and having his final balls being on point. But as we've seen, he showed more value when he came on as a substitute. Nyama also then subsequently came on as a substitute. And we played Inaki Williams, who is also, again, yet to find a big match for the Black Stars playing offensively. But like Semenyo, he also put in a shift defensively when he came on for the Black Stars, in line with the instructions of the coach and how the team set up to play. And there were a few other players who also contributed their bit. Brandon Thomas Asante didn't get a lot of playing time, and people will blame that on Jordan Ayew being kept in the game. But I believe coaches select players not because of the reputation they have or the glimpses they show in the game, but also based on training. And I wonder what Queiroz did not see in Thomas Brandon Asante, for which reason he didn't make him more of a mainstay of this team. Which brings us to the subject of Jordan Ayew. And many people have been extremely critical of him. Offensively, he didn't give us too much. And there are those who say that your offensive players should not be highlighted based on the defensive qualities or tackling qualities or duels won. The offensive players, and they have to offer you so much. It's true, Jordan is not the player he used to be. He doesn't have the pace that he used to have. We are here at this World Cup, or we were at this World Cup because of the goals that Jordan scored in qualifiers. Sometimes a coach needs a leader on the pitch. And that's why I feel Carlos Queiroz played Jordan as often as he did. I don't think he should have stayed on as long as he did for some of the games, and the substitution should have been made much earlier. But the coach, definitely based on how he wanted to organize his team, saw value in what he brought into the team. And we saw that value above all else during the England game, when Ghana managed to shut out the English and prevent them from scoring during the game. But all said, we have to recognize the fact that the offensive part of our team is the most malnourished, if I can say that, or is the part that is lacking the most. I've spoken about the defense. I've spoken about a midfield that has strength in width, and that still has to depend on the old guard of Partey, complemented by some younger people. We would need creativity in the middle of the park. Kudus will come back after injury, and we have to recognize the fact that we lacked the presence of Kudus in this midfield. His presence in that midfield could have made a lot of difference with us going offensively. On the Jordan situation again, we do not have adequate replacements. Prince Kwabena came on and showed glimpses of what he's capable of doing, but he's still raw and not the complete player. Did not show the temperament and experience you would require in certain situations. So my conclusion is, Jordan is still entrusted with so much responsibility by the coaches because we do not have a competitive forward line. If we had a competitive forward line of proven players who are scoring goals and who are creating chances, Jordan would justifiably have found a place on the bench, or even if he started, would have been substituted much early. And so in the absence of that, it becomes really a bit unfair to question his very involvement in this team, especially based on the record and the number of goals, joint highest in the African continent he scored in getting the Black Stars to the World Cup. And that's why we need to start looking at options as far as our attacking players are concerned. The Hudson-Odoi situation and the other players involved, that matter is not dead yet, and we'll have to revisit that. We'll have to see whether they come from the local league, and I don't really see who the obvious players are. But after a World Cup, typically, many more players make themselves eligible to play for a team. There are players who change clubs and pick forms, and we should be on the lookout to recruit as many players as we can. Make no mistake, this Black Stars is a team under reconstruction. It was great whilst it lasted, the Black Stars campaign at the World Cup. The others all dreaming again. In fact, people were beginning to believe that the Black Stars will go as far as the round of 16 or even the last 8. But I guess the fact that people went to the World Cup budgeting for 3 games, because of which most of them could not go into the stadium in Kansas to watch Ghana's 4th game at the World Cup, just captures the psyche with which Ghanaians went into the second round stage, or the round of 32 stage of the World Cup. Against Colombia, though, we're exposed for our lack of depth. We're exposed for our obvious limitations in terms of quality across the pitch. We were not even second best. The Black Stars were third best in that game against Colombia. We outplayed on the field. The gulf in class showed on the field, but even off the field, we were out-supported by the Colombian fans who completely took over the stadium in Kansas. It was hard to point out who the Ghanaian supporters were, because obviously a lot of them had not stayed beyond 3 matches or could not afford to stay beyond 3 matches because they expected the Black Stars to have only existed in this tournament for just the 3 group games. On the goalkeeping side, already we are seeing a pattern emerging. On the evidence of the selection prioritization by Coach Carlos Queiroz, it's quite obvious that Atizigi is the number 1 for the Black Stars as we speak now, and that Benjamin Asari only played in goal for half of the first match, for the second match and the third match, because of the fitness questions around Atizigi. Once Atizigi was confirmed to be fully fit, he returned to the squad and did not disgrace himself at all, making the saves you expect him to make against Colombia. You can't blame him for the goal. The goal probably due to our inability to settle down and adjust to fill the void that was left by Marvin Senaya, who has been one of the discoveries of the tournament as far as our backline. In fact, the whole backline has been the discovery of the tournament in terms of the strength we have in depth in the absence of the players who got injured, particularly Salisu and Jiku, who could not play in this game. Queiroz was also outfoxed on this one, and he'll be the first to admit Ghana ended this game without a single shot on target, which is not new because of how he sets up to play. But for a team that was going into a game a few minutes after Cabo Verde had given the performance of their lives against Argentina, and with nothing to lose in that second half, more was expected of the Black Stars. The Black Stars disappointed considerably by not putting up the fights that people expected them to put. Sometimes fans will find more joy in seeing that you get smashed, looking to attack and score and win a game, than continue to have the handbrake on, which is exactly what happened. The Black Stars still had the handbrake on. And even in injury time, when you'd have expected them to even do route 1 football into the box, they ceded possession to the Colombians, who just kept passing around in a defensive way, and because of which the Black Stars could get very little out of this game. Eventually, a lack of quality was exposed. We knew that the Colombians will come in, their strength was on the wings, and their fullbacks who push up to join their wingers, causing all sorts of problems. We knew that was what was going to happen on the left, on the right. They doubled up very often, playing very cute triangles around our players, but we're still quite powerless, especially after Senaya's early injury, to stopping them. This only goes to emphasize the fact that we have not arrived, and the coach was very pragmatic and very realistic in setting the team up, and kudos to him for getting the results that enabled Ghana to get into the round of 32. But player by player, team by team, put side by side and compared, in terms of quality, we obviously found wanting, and that clearly shows where we stand as a football team compared to several of the African countries that even went out in the round of 32. We can't compare ourselves to the Senegal team as it is now, the La Côte d'Ivoire team as it is now, perhaps even to an extent Cabo Verde, because they're a team that have had a lot of consistency. We haven't had a lot of consistency. There's been a lot of churn. So as the tournament ends, I would say Ghana overachieved. Carlos Queiroz overachieved by giving us that extra match in the round of 32. These boys who were put together, many of them insulted and maligned and dissed and having question marks raised over their selection to the Black Stars, outdid themselves for all of those who got the opportunity to play. And beyond this, the World Cup being a special event and a special tournament, the attention will now shift to the issue of the next stage of the evolution of the Black Stars. And I'll discuss the issue of the coach, the players themselves, and those who have to be reintegrated into this Black Stars team as we seek to build a unit that is strong enough to be competitive, not just on the African continent, but on the world stage.